Hello everyone, it's me again. For I am a prophetic artist. My name is Greg State. And I'm here to talk about another painting that I painted. I painted this picture for a friend of mine, a church member. That they had a vision they had of a bride wandering through the wilderness. And she wanted the picture painted a certain way. And I'll show this picture right here. As you look in the background, you can see it's supposed to be storm clouds and they're lightning. And she wanted me to paint this picture of this bride walking toward this mountain. And as she walking, her footprints, supposed to be turning into water that she leaves behind. As the bride is wandering through this desert place, a dry place. And I put a snake, a scorpion, and a skull, which is a calf skull. I put that also in this picture. And in Exodus, the bride, is God's people, chosen people, which was Israel, and they had to leave Egypt and go into this desert place because the Israelites was in Egypt. They was in bondage. They was in slavery. And God had to take them through the wilderness place, a dry place, and that desert place, a place where they had to grow and trust in God and to love and try to remove that slave mentality that they had when they was in bondage in Egypt, to break that attachment, to take them out of that place of comfort, which they was, as they were in slavery, they got comfortable with that. They started living just like the Egyptians. So God had to destroy all the gods of the Egyptians, or to get the Israelites out of Egypt. And that was during the 10 plagues. And when the final plague came, with the firstborn to die, that's when Moses laid the people out, because Pharaoh, he just got tired of all the plagues and just really threw them out, and told them, y'all need to go, leave, let's leave, because his firstborn son also died. The firstborn of a child is even though you have a daughter which is older than a son, the inheritance really passed down to the son. Not to the daughter, but to the son. That's in the Old Testament laws that they had in Israel. That's what the Israelite. I'm talking about the Israelites' laws. That's the way it was set up. A male was the first seed, not a female, but a male. That's the way it was back then. I'm not talking about what it is now. I'm talking about the way it was back then, and that's why he had to let them go, because his son was going to be the next Pharaoh, and he died. He was going to get all the inheritance. So in Israel, it's set up the same way. It's not the daughter is the firstborn, but it's the son. I'm just saying what the law was, in the book. I think I had to find that. I think it's in Leviticus. That's where the laws are at. And you can go in there and read, and it does say that, who was the firstborn. And if a man had a number of girls, they can't take the inheritance of the father. But they had, I think they made a way that they was able to do that, because I know one story that is in the Bible, that this man did have nothing but daughters, and God made a provision for them to stay on their own land, not to lose their land. And so that's what it was so invaluable about the firstborn. And when he died, Israel, Pharaoh, they said, go, leave, go, get out of here. And he kicked them out. So they had to go into the wilderness, a dry place. As I talk about the bride of the desert, that's how they ended up into the desert. What is the bride? It's the bride it's the Israelites, that God's chosen people. He chose these people, called out people, to go and worship and praise Him, and to be a faithful people toward Him. But they ended up in bondage in Egypt, and they are lost. Like I said before, they are losing their mentality, who God truly was. As one day, I think they cried out to God, and that's why Moses, went back to save his people out of bondage. But as they wandered through that wilderness, God did provide for them. He provided water from them. He provided food. This is bread from heaven, and quail, which came from the east, driven by a wind by God. And this manna was a flaky, like white bread from heaven. That's in Exodus 16, 33 and 34. It's just white bread that's covered the ground, and they just go out there and pick it up, and gather it up and go in and make bread. That's where the water from a rock, on two separate occasions that God did this, that he brought water from a rock, in the desert. God said, go and strike. He struck the rock this first time, But the second time, and that's in Numbers 20 and 21, he spoke to the rock. But he struck the rock again in anger, because he just getting tired of these people that's continue complaining about this, complaining about that. And so he just angrily spoke that rock. And that's why he did not enter into the promised land, because of his anger. Because God said, I told you to do it this way, and you done it the way you wanted to do it. So if God wants you to do something, do it exactly how he said to do it. Do exactly what he said. Do not deviate or try to make your own way of making things, God meant this. No, do exactly what he said. I started this podcast and this channel. I wasn't going to start it unless God was with me. And I prayed and I fasted on this right here, and to get this channel started. It's just something I didn't just jump up and do, because I'm well in my 60s, and I've been painting over 30 years now, but I've been drawing all my life. So I just been doing it. I didn't know how to get my paintings out there. I've been to people. I did a lot of other ways trying to get my pictures out there. I just got something on Facebook, and I got something on Twitter, but I wasn't drawing the audience that I wanted. So I just trying to find a different way to draw people to look at my pictures, see what I'm doing, try to get people, to see that, not that I'm a great artist, but what is God is doing in my life? What is God doing? And as you see this picture here that I painted for this lady, my apostle, he saw it, and he just took the picture, and I think he still got it to the day, and he just saw it, and he said, wow, and so I did take a photograph of it. I don't have this picture with me, but you can buy prints of it on my website. Go to my website. Look at the picture that I painted. I got a lot of pictures on there that I painted. I have taken photographs. I like photography, and I like taking pictures of certain things. A lot of the places that I've been, places that I went to, places that I've seen. I took pictures of them, and I decided to post some of them on my website. I love flowers. I love the beauty of nature itself. I have been to the desert. I have been to Arizona, fields and fields of cactus. And there were these big old boulders. I guess what you call them. I don't know, they're mountains. They're just sitting out there by themselves. There was huge, big rocks. And that's out there in the desert, and no trees, nothing, and that's the first time I've ever been in the desert, in Arizona. We went through, we left Phoenix and went down to Tucson, and all through that area, went to the OK Corral and all that, down there, sightseeing, and it was amazing how the desert looked, it was hot. No, it wasn't that hot when we went. It was sort of raining at that time. I think we went about it during the rainy season. But just looking at that desert and just thinking about, walking in that desert, no shade in the daytime. At nighttime it got cold, but we was in the house at that time, in our room in the motel. But we didn't, unless we went out to do something, that night, go eat or something, sometimes we went out at night. But just seeing that desert and how the God's bride were walking through something like that. And I think the deserts in the Middle East are totally different from the deserts in America. But it's still that same heat, that same coldness at night. And that's what God did for the Israelites. He gave them a pillar, a cloud in the daytime to keep them cool. He gave them a pillar of fire at night to keep them warm. So that every time that cloud stopped, they stopped. Every time that fire went out in the night, they had to sleep, lay down and sleep. They could not move. So God had to guide them through the wilderness, through fire and through a cloud, through shade and through light, as they wandered through the wilderness. And because they disobedient, they built a golden calf and worshiped this calf and said, "This is what brought us out of Egypt. This is calf." And Abraham was the one that said, "I just threw it in the fire and it came out." And Moses was very angry with them. And he wanted to kill them all right then and there. But God said, "No, don't kill them. Don't kill them, just the ones that was on that didn't participate in that worship and that golden calf. They were the Levites, which are the priests to this day of God. They the one that's supposed to do the ceremonies, the worship, and bring in the praise, the Levites. So I just decided, just tell you all the story of why they were still out there in the wilderness, why God's bride was wandering at that time before they entered into the present land to the day that's called Israel today, where they set up their nation, where they live in it. But it still is God's bride. The church is God's bride. They are called out ones. They were called out of Egypt. They was called to a certain place to go and worship, the place of the promised land, the land of milk and honey, the land where God established for them to set up and worship. So I just want to share with you. I decided to share this picture with y'all, and I hope to share some more and tell y'all the reason why I painted it and the reason why why I paint, and because I just love painting, the joy of painting. I just enjoy it. It's, you ain't got to tell me or force me to do anything. I just do it because I love it. And, I just can't be still. I be sitting sometimes, just be doodling. Pick little pictures and stuff, because I don't know, I just do it, It's not that I'm not listening, not that I'm not paying attention, but my mind is, just on that, My mind just need to do something, My hands, I don't know, it's just something that you look at any artist, they'll tell you the same thing. They do the same thing. They would sit there and do that. I'm gonna tell y'all this story. About a couple years ago, I was on a platform with two other artists, and they was doing the Black History program. And we had brought our pictures, our paintings, and everything. They were gonna ask us questions about being a black artist. How you became an artist. What is an art? What your artwork really means to you and stuff like that. And I already knew one of the artists. I already met him. I met one of them, but one of them I have never met. And, and we was looking at each other's pictures and everything, each other's paintings, and as we sit on the panel, we were talking. And there was one question that I think said that about at the end of the program, they asked this question: what the art means to you, or what the art means to me. And everybody asked other two guys went before me. They asked, told them about what it really means to them. And then it got to me, and I just started talking, about what art really means to me. And as I was talking, and I didn't know, what was happening, and everybody, after I finished, everybody said I started glowing. My face started shining as I was talking about being, why I'm an artist, why I love to draw, why I love to paint. I was talking about the things that I enjoy doing, the places where I like to go, the things I like to see, and where I came from, and why I love to paint, why I love to draw. And they said I started shining. Even the host of the show said, "Wow, he's just over there, y'all see that glow that came on his face." And my wife, she was out there in the audience. She said she saw it. She said I just started shining. My face started shining. And he said people beside her started talking about it. And as I got down on the stage, I didn't know I was shining or glowing, but the people just started talking about it. And then this man came up from the audience, that was in the audience. He just started talking about, man, I see the glory of God on you. Let the light shine on you. Man, I see that glory. And you just continue to do God's work. And he just started praying on me. I said, I didn't know what was going on, and I gave him one of my business cards and everything. He said, we are Christians, and man, you just had a glow on you. And my wife said the same thing, and there was a lady came up. She wanted to buy my picture that I had brought, and I sold it to her. The picture, and I really love that picture. I hope to post it on here. I still have a photograph of it, but I love that picture, and I said, okay. I sold it to her. All my pictures are for sale, and then, so y'all can buy that. We can talk about a price, and anytime I can go up or down. But a lot of pictures I have sold, and some, I still have. I have a lot of pictures that I have, but I would like to get rid of. So y'all just text me, call me. I don't have a phone number here, but just email me, and me and we'll get up together, and we can make something happen. So in that time, I'll be sure and why I love artwork so much. It's in me. It's in my heart. And I just love to share my work with others. What is God is sharing with me. And I just love doing it. So y'all just have a blessed day. And y'all continue, to come and watch my videos. And share my videos. Share my videos with others. Share my pictures with others, and keep coming back. And I thank y'all. Subscribe, like, and leave a comment if you want to. And I try to answer them. I try to get back with y'all as soon as I get the comments and everything. So y'all just continue to be blessed, people. And I just, as I'll keep on painting, I'll keep on drawing. But like I said, that's my heart. Y'all have a blessed day, and continue to worship God. In Jesus' precious name, I want to pray. Amen.